Councilor Majoke, Councilor Green, Councilor Peniagua, and I believe those are all the councilors on the call. We have two items on the agenda today. The first one is an agreement with Okra for appears waste hauling. Is there someone here to speak on that item?
Yeah, I can speak to that item. Ann Fordock is supposed to be getting on, but oh, there she is. There's Ann. Ann. Well,
sorry, it's just my computer's running really slow too.
That's okay. No worries. So I haven't even started yet. So if you just want to speak to the Okra legislation.
Okay. It's a two-year renewal for trash services. I'm not saying it right. For the garbage disposal at the waste to energy facility. There is a $5 increase in the tipping fee, and there is brand new this year, woo, not good news, was a recycling fee. So for the first time in 30 years, Okra is going to start charging a tipping fee for recycling because the markets and commodities are so bad that Okra's losing millions of dollars a year. So I know we have some board members probably on this call. Corey is one of them, but Joe is another one. And I'm not sure if the clerk is on here, but so if you have any questions about the tipping fee, but the increase is happening, it's happening, of course, right in the middle of our fiscal year, which is not ideal, but it is the law that all of our solid waste go to Okra. So we don't have a choice in signing this, but if we do sign it, we do get a $4 prompt payment reduction.
And what do we believe, our increased costs overall? Like, what would do we have an estimate of what this is going?
So it's roughly 200 grand for the trash increase, and it's roughly 200 grand for the recycling charges, and that also includes that recycling is up about 15% so far this year, and trash is up about 10% so far this year because of COVID. Because you're not going and disposing of all your stuff at work or at the restaurant. You're having all of that disposal at home.
And those
is that for the full fiscal year, or is that just what we anticipate?
You're right. I did calendar year on that. You're right.
That's fine. That's a full that would be a full year. So we'd be expecting an increase of about half that between now and the end of our fiscal year. Okay. Sorry.
No,
sorry,
good.
Mr. Green. I'm not sure if that was your question too. Sorry to jump in.
So then my next question is, does the budget director know about this? Is this being factored into the financial contingency committee, and do they already know about this?
Yes, we told them. I think we've known for at least a month that the new contract was coming. So I alerted everyone, kind of rang the alarm at that time.
Yeah, so we've been looking at the different bureaus in DPW to see, where we might be currently on track to come in under budget, where we project it to be, taking into account the financial contingency plan, where we're still underspending, that we might be able to apply some of that underspending to this unanticipated cost.
It's going to be tight, but we're trying to find a way. And I mean, we've reduced overtime. We've, cut out construction debris until July. So some of those things might give us the tiny bit of wiggle room that we have. But, if people start going back to work, that could affect that 10% and 15% increase we've seen too. So we need a vaccine. So.
And this is Joel. So with this fee, does this vary for each municipality, or is that just or just for us as a city?
It's for everyone. Every municipality is charged the same rate. But good question. We should get a bulk buying discount, right?
Right. Okay.
Maybe we could talk to our Okra board members about that.
I wouldn't dare speak to that without the clerk here.
Yeah.
And
So you were smart, Corey.
You said this is just the for the year, there's no lock-in rate or anything like that. It might be different next year or so.
They're doing a 2-year contract actually this time. The past couple, it has been 1-year contracts. In the past, when like markets were a little better, they would do 3-year contracts, but they are doing this for a 2-year one. So we will at least be able to plan our next budget a little bit better.
Okay. All right, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions for Ann on this item? Okay, then I guess I'll make a motion to put this on the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, great. Thank you. That item's ready. Thank you, Ann. Appreciate it. Corey, I think you're up to bat for the new agreement for wireless. Or
Yes,
cellular.
this is legislation to allow the city to enter into a small wireless facilities master license agreement with AT&T. This is similar to the agreement that we came to with Verizon last year regarding 5G. So all the language is pretty much identical in terms of permitting, fees, aesthetic standards, testing for safety. Any safety concerns and compliance. So this is an identical agreement that is just entering in with AT&T.
Corey, do they have a map of where they are intending on placing some of these, or is this going to be just as they go along, they're going to just start picking spots?
Yeah, I'm going to defer. I think Sarah from the law department, Sarah Bartels, is on here. Sarah, I don't know, have they shared with us where they intend to make these installations?
So I can answer part of that, and then I'll defer to Vincent Paquette, who's on representing AT&T.
Great.
Yeah. So my understanding is that AT&T is planning to install a few, and by a few, I think it's 3 or 4 small wireless facilities in the near future, and then my understanding is that a plan for a larger rollout hasn't been discussed yet. But Vincent, if you can fill in and speak to that, that'd be really helpful.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Yeah, right now the plan is for 3 small cell locations in the public right of way, and we also have a 4th location with a private landlord in Walgreens. That's the current plan for 2021, and there have not been any future nodes discussed beyond this.
Thank you. Are there my colleagues on this?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Councilman, you go first. I'll go second.
Okay, thank you. Corey, I'm wondering, so is it the case that this is just a blanket agreement, and then for each additional site, they will have to apply for a permit to then install that additional node or network?
Yeah, that's my understanding. Anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's how it operates, that there's a separate permit application for each location.
And
Yep.
Can we estimate approximately how much revenue this is supposed to raise per year?
So I can tell you how much, well, I don't know, Jake or Mediha, if you guys want to jump in. I know, we have a record of how much we've collected so far in the agreement with Verizon, or how much we anticipate collecting with AT&T, or both. I think Mediha or Jake, I know that you were just recently looking into, what we've collected so far this year with the agreement with Verizon.
Yeah, I don't have that information directly in front of me, but counselors, what I can tell you is the annual fee schedule that we're collecting is $270 per small wireless facility, which is easy way to think of that is basically per location, per pole, or per location when in the right of way. So, in the long run, we expect hundreds or if not thousands of these citywide. So you can do the math there. Currently, we're approaching, I think, possibly triple digits with some existing locations, but a lot of that would be dependent on AT&T's plan with 5G. But anybody following the telecom industry in general, I think, can see that that's the future, and this lays the groundwork to allow for that expansion citywide if and when AT&T chooses, or searches for that type of deployment here.
We can
With-
get you
with
those
the-
figures too on the revenue. We just don't have them at the ready, but I can get those to you easily.
Certainly. No, that'd be great. Thank you. And hold on, I kind of lost my train of thought there. I know where I was going with that. So are these 3 nodes that are talking about installing in 2021, are those going to be new pole installations, or are they going to go in existing poles?
They'll be on existing National Grid / Verizon poles.
Thank you.
So my question is, I mean, now going back a couple years ago when we first had our kind of plans for this, we had broader ambitions about fee schedules and control of where it would go. And then ultimately the FCC eliminated that discretion for municipalities. But also the president just lost, and there's going to be a new president, and there's going to be a new FCC chairman, I assume. So I guess one of my questions is, does that change at all our strategy of how we approach these going forward?
That's a good question. One I had not considered. Sarah, do you have any?
Yeah, I can speak to that just a little bit. So in the agreement, we did work in flexibility that if governing regulations that were currently bound by change, then we can renegotiate the agreement, renegotiate the terms. So like Jake was saying, this sort of eliminates a lot of the administrative burden of bringing each node to council every single time. However, if something were to change, in the regulatory scheme, then we have the discretion to renegotiate the fee schedule and things like that.
Okay, that's great to know. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, I got one, Counselor. Corey, this is more of more of a general philosophical approach to the technology that we bring to the city. Along that, and please forgive me for if this become very elementary in terms of the nature of the question. Structurally, we, for example, with Time Warner Cable, we have always bring internet technology into the city, and that usually we are so boxed in to the point that there's no competition in any way or any shape, where we are stuck with these companies, where we give no other options to our constituents and into us to our citizens. Is this going to be another Time Warner Cable? Is this going to be another Verizon, where we only have one availability? Or is there any talk somehow along the way there's going to be some kind of competition that is given to allow our constituents and our community to have more than one, to have access to more than one options?
It's a good question, Counselor. I mean, I think the way that we have been able to approach 5G and the installation in the city has promoted that type of competition, because last year we started with Verizon and now we're being approached by AT&T, by Vincent's presence here as demonstrates. So I think we don't, and Sarah, you can speak to this probably more than I can, we don't have anything that limits us from anybody approaching us to enter into a similar agreement. So, Verizon was the first one here, but they're not exclusively the only one offering 5G capability in the city. As you can tell by the legislation today, AT&T is coming in, and who knows who might come next. So, we don't have any exclusive clauses with anybody. And I think demonstrated by the fact that we started with Verizon and now now AT&T has approached us, demonstrates that I think, anybody who wants to come in and make this technology available, any of the competitors, we're open to it.
And I'm saying this, Corey, because I think some of our limitation is that we get stuck with one company, and we put an infrastructure that it might be too costly to switch, and that it burden us even further. I just want us to be cognizant of it somehow, that if it is necessary to give contract to two companies to allow this in the future to allow future flexibility, I would be for that, rather than just giving that contract to one entity and this entity put in an infrastructure that eventually in the future we have no flexibility of moving or wanting to bring in something different. It's more than a comment than a question.
No, and that's a good one. I mean, and I think there's nothing to stop. I mean, given, as Vincent mentioned, AT&T will be putting their infrastructure on existing poles. So, I think if Sprint or T-Mobile or anybody wanted to approach us, they could follow a similar path. So, it's not a contract in the sense that it's exclusive to obviously Verizon because AT&T is here. It's just an agreement that the companies approach us, say they want to introduce 5G in the city, and we say, okay, let's enter into an agreement. So it's a good thing to keep in mind. And I think thus far we've been able to promote some healthy competition, but we'll absolutely keep that in mind.
Yes, the proactive part of it. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
So if there are more questions, I'm gonna, make a motion to move this item onto the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Unless there are any other items for today, those are the two items. They're both ready, and I think we can call this meeting to a close.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice
Thank
rest of your day.
you.